So Kent, we've got the transmission out of your Honda Accord apart here. This is what it looks like when it's apart. And I'll go over a couple of things we found inside. Eric will contact you later on with our cost estimates. And the first thing I'm going to talk about is the color of the oil and the fact the oil is superheated. It's been way too hot. So this is a shot of some of the oil inside the transmission. You'll see what I mean by the color. So that oil has gotten way too hot, and the result of that, or the cause of that, essentially is going to be from the torque converter. You can see the purpling here. So this is the lockup clutch inside the converter. So we know the lockup clutch has been slipping, and the whole converter is taken on kind of a purpley color. And we know that with Hondas and Acuras, that that's generally going to be the cause of the oil being superheated like that. And there is an aftermarket valve that changes the hydraulics of it a bit, and essentially that's the one thing that's going to help prevent this type of a failure again. Inside the transmission, there's going to be material from that lockup clutch that's gone through and plugged up some of the orifices in the filters, and as a result of that, we can see some slippage on this clutch. You can see the black line there, and you can see on the steel plate how this area here has been way too hot. It actually should be nice and shiny like this all the way across. So this clutch has been slipping. Most of the other clutches have a little bit of burn, so a little discoloration here, but certainly not slipping to the point like this clutch here. But really all the clutches are all in the same type of category where there's a little bit of slippage, but nothing too drastic. The gears themselves look to be okay. Another thing we noticed that's going to be a bad deal is in the differential. On the differential, you can see this shaft, cross shaft here. I can move that, and you can just see the edge of this roll pin. You can see the edge of the roll pin right there. And the problem is that that roll pin is broken, so this has now been able to move in and out, and it also, we can move this back and forth. So this shaft here, we can move back and forth. So what's happening is it's moving like this and wearing out the housing, so that's going to be a big concern. We're going to have to get this apart and have a look and see how bad that is, but we may end up having to replace the whole differential assembly because of that. And we can't have that happen. This pin could come out farther and poke a hole in the case and cause a major catastrophe as well. On the case itself, Hondas and Acuras have issues with these bearings. They need to be held solidly in there, so these bearings, we got a little bit of play here where I can move this bearing in the bore, and that's going to allow the shafts not to be held in the true center line. So I'm going to get close and see if we can see it, but sometimes you can't see it, especially when there's oil in there. But you know, bottom line is we have some play in these bearings. Just this one here in particular. This one doesn't look like we can see very much, but this spinning, like when we can spin the bearing like that, that's where the wear comes from. If you watch the letters, you can see that the bearing is spinning. So this should actually be tight where I can't, you see this one here, I can barely get to spin. And this one here, I actually have no problem at all making spin. So we know that that's worn, and that's going to have to be addressed as well. So as I said, Eric will contact you, and we'll talk about the different options. Thanks.